The Pod Show by PICK6IX. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Go and hit PICK6IX. PEATFAKMUSIC. Hit that subscribe button. Also, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Check it out. Now let's get to the show.
Rams versus Seahawks explosive Thursday night showdown. The Pick6 podcast begins now.
Marner in motion. Darnold throws, caught for
the 2 points. Eric Saubert. Welcome to week 16, the Pick6 podcast, and as stated in the beginning of the show, already an explosive weekend with, of course, we have the college football playoffs, Miami winning 10-3 versus Texas A&M, and Ole Miss absolutely destroying Tulane. I'm not going to get into all that. Tulane getting in based on whatever the college football playoff committee wants to do is crazy. I mean, Notre Dame wanted in, but even though they had a better record, played better games, they still didn't deserve to get in. But that's a whole different conversation. I've already spoke about that. Seattle and the Rams, that's where I'm going. I sat there and I watched this game. And I have to say, the division games are just getting better and better and better. They're exciting. As you guys know, the final score of that game was 38-37 Seahawks. Of course, they went for the 2-point conversion after they scored the touchdown to tie it up, because you know the new rules. If you kick a field goal, you have a chance to go down the field. But let me correct myself. Both teams have a chance to score, and then it becomes sudden death. So the Rams marched down the field. They scored a touchdown, made it 37-30. Seahawks go down the field. They march down the field. They score a touchdown. They decide to go for the win. This is for all the marbles. This is the division. This is for a potential number 1 seed. And Sam Darnold throws it after throwing 2 picks in the game. He started off throwing 2 picks. Going into that situation, before he got the couple touchdowns, he threw 6 interceptions and threw no touchdowns against the Rams. The Rams defense had completely owned him. Sam Darnold seems to have a problem with the Rams. Going back to earlier in the playoffs, earlier in the year when he was with Minnesota playing the Rams. So there's still that kryptonite there. Although they got the win, it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, but then you look at Stafford's stats. 29-49, 457, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Puka, 12 receptions, 225, 2 touchdowns. They had no turnovers in this game, and they lost. Think about what I'm about to say. They had no turnovers in this game. The Rams played a what you call flawless game until the defense gave up some plays. Of course, there was that interception that I saw with like 9:45 left in I think it was in the 4th. When big Kobe Turner grabbed that interception from Sam Darnold, and it was only 30-14. They were about to march down the field to put up 6. And, I'm just like, I honestly thought the game was going to be done. Like, I'll be honest. But then, of course, somehow, some way, there was just that take it by inch. The craziest thing, this was a stat that was brought to me from an NFL guy who I consider a historian. He's a stat technician. He's a stat tactician. He has the stats broken down. He said to me, this was yesterday, this is the first time in NFL history, +3 turnovers from the opponent. They had no turnovers and had over 500 yards offense and loss. First time ever. So this is what you call a flawless performance. This is what you would do in Madden. 99.9% of the time you do this in Madden, you are going to win the game. the Rams lost this game. It is in overtime. It was a division game. So I'll say this and I'll say it again. It was a division game. It was what was expected. But I'll tell you guys this. Man, the NFL playoffs is going to be something else. So this was something for everybody to see. It was just one of those classic games. And Sam Darnold had 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, he hasn't looked good the last little while. He's had moments, but Sam Darnold hasn't put together a real good game in the last 4 or 5 weeks. So heading into the next 2 weeks for them and 2 weeks for the Rams is still not over yet. We'll see how this goes, and then the rest will take care of itself. But the NFL playoffs is looking very, 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 very good. So Eagles are next on the board. The Eagles played Washington, another division game, and that's coming up next on the Pick6 podcast.
To snap it, they just barely get it off. Hurts steps up, rips it, end zone, Goddard, touchdown Philly.
Once again, a division classic between the Eagles and the Redskins. I got to say, I mean, you look at the score and you're like, it looked like it wasn't contested, but it was. There was a battle between these two teams. And I mean, at first you could see it. Washington was trying. They were trying to do something. You know, Mariota had a couple of throws, and Josh Johnson came in the game and had it was 5 for 9, 43 yards, 1 interception. But it was one of those division games. Rodriguez had a rushing touchdown, so did Karosky Merritt. Philadelphia pulled it off. And, they won 29-18. Jalen Hurts, hit his threshold at 30 attempts. He was 185, 2 touchdowns. Had Saquon went off for 132 and had a rushing touchdown. And, of course, A.J. Brown had his 95 yards. He's getting the ball now. He's happy. And Devontae Smith is doing what he can do, as always. He had just 6 catches, pedestrian 42 yards, but had a receiving touchdown. My takeaway from this game, of course, the Eagles winning the division and all that stuff. But my takeaway, this was a division game. The score doesn't justify the way this game went. And I'm telling you guys, division games are always going to be tough. And this particular division game just kind of told you it doesn't matter the record. The team is going to come out to play. And it's funny because you watched it because it's going to take me to the next game, which was another classic. These division games are always good. The records don't tell you anything. But before I get to the Bears and Packers, so also while I was doing the show, there was rumblings that the Rams fired their special teams coach because the Rams have been pretty bad on special teams. So, they found a way to find an excuse for what has happened lately. So they fired Chase Blackburn. Does that change anything? To me, it doesn't. Because I look at coaching as a tool to help and prepare. That's your job as a coach. You still have to go out and do the job as players. And when I say that, I'm going to give you guys an example. Now, there has been a video that surfaced with Brandon Ayuk driving to the stadium at like 90 miles per hour. Recently was released. And the word is that everybody's used that as maybe it's been the culture in San Francisco. I disagree. As much as Santa Claus knows how to lose the biggest game of the season, for the most part, and of course fire coaches as a part of his excuses for losing Super Bowls, Santa Claus does his job to winning games and preparing his team to get to the playoffs. I've never heard any locker room stuff and all that stuff. Brandon Ayuk gets a nice little payday, and all of a sudden he can't play, he can't do this. And I'm going to say this before I get to the Bears and Packers. To all players or people listening to this show, I have no problems with you making your money, but be smart about what you're doing outside of that. What you do with your money is your business, but the activities you exhibit is a problem. And you look at it there are certain players, even this year, I called out certain players, not for the behaviors of what they're doing in their once you put your personal life outside, you're going to be used as an scapegoat if something happens. So Brandon Ayuk, I'm sure he's going to be, I think he was deactivated for the rest of the year, and he's probably not going to be in the Frisco uniform. And Frisco's doing just fine without him. Santa Claus knows how to put together a good plan and win games. He got rid of Debo Samuels. He's gotten rid of a multitude of guys. He's had multitude of different quarterbacks, and he still knows how to get the Super Bowls. The only problem is with Santa Claus is if you're an AFC team, you are guaranteed to win a Super Bowl because he don't know what the hell he's doing. He just folds and crumbles, but that's a whole different conversation. Chicago Bears. And by the way, the Eagles clinched the NFC East, by the way. The Chicago Bears going against, oh man, the Green Bay Packers. I want you guys to hear this clip, and then I'm going to continue on with this. This game was just like the other two games. Again, this game was a classic, and the final play of this game is the reason why you have to watch these games. You have to watch them, whether you're a fan of the teams or not. This is the difference between being a fan and a true analyst and just being a fanboy and not understanding any concepts of what's happening here. This game was a classic. Now, here's a soundbite.
On the fake, Williams looking downfield, launching downfield, going for it all. It is caught. Bears win it. DJ Moore.
So that was the clip in OT. Wow. Oh, wow. What a throw by Caleb Williams. That was the one throw in the game that mattered. And, at the end of the day, the Bears and Packers have given us two great divisional games, and this is what division football is all about. Caleb Williams finishing 19 for 34, 252 touchdowns, no picks. And the most important pass was that pass in overtime to DJ Moore. As you just heard, the soundbite to win the game, 22-16. Jordan Love got hurt in that game, but in relief, Malik Willis was 9 for 11, 121, one touchdown, no picks. Malik Willis needs to get a look for next season. He needs to get a look. He didn't get a good opportunity in Tennessee. He did not. I don't care what anybody says. I think Tennessee was kind of a flop situation for him. But this now is an opportunity for him to really do something. So I hope that he gets the opportunity that he should be getting. And he can go out and make something out of it. So wherever he goes, if he stays in Green Bay, I don't think Green Bay's a place for him. But if he can go somewhere, there are teams that need starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Arizona, you could have a competition with him and Jacoby Brissett. Minnesota needs a quarterback. The Jets need a quarterback. Cleveland, you can have a competition with Shador to get Shador ready. There are so many places that Malik Willis could be used as a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I feel like this game kind of showed you a lot. He also ran for 44 yards. He rushed for 44 yards. He's got the legs too. So he's a talent that hasn't been utilized yet. He finally put himself on display today in the loss. But this was just a hard-hitting game too. A nice Saturday night football game, and just, following up on the two other big games that happened earlier in the weekend, and of course the Eagles Commanders game that happened previously, a few hours before. This is going to be a fantastic NFL playoffs. You don't need certain quarterbacks, and this is why I say it's about the logo, not the players. It doesn't matter who's in the NFL playoffs. The playoffs are going to go on, and they're going to be just as exciting, and this playoffs is going to be exciting. So I don't know what else to say, man. So far, the first three games have been fantastic, and here's the next clip. And I'm telling you, this is another great game that happened. and we're going to continue on. Pick six. Pick six continues on. Let's go.
I mean, I don't even want to get into it, because it's not going to change anything. We still lost. It's, look, you think you score, you don't score, and then, you think you're going to have another play, replay it or back it up and one more shot, and it doesn't. And that's just, I guess that's the way it's written in the rule book. So that's frustrating. But there again, it should never come to that. We had our opportunities. We weren't able to
After a
put it in before
29-24 loss at home to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh going to 9-6. And at that time, they were officially first in the division and pretty much waiting to see what would happen with Baltimore and New England, which was a Sunday night game, which I'm going to talk about next. But the little controversy that happened at the end with Amon St. Brown on the goal line, offensive pass interference, this, that, and the third, a bunch of factors, a plethora of excuses. It's just listen, here is the most important thing. And before I get to that, Aaron Rodgers, 27 for 41, 266, one touchdown. Warren ran all over them, 14 carries, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns. Gainwell had 5 receptions, 78 yards, 1 touchdown. Adam Thielen, 4 for 49, had a couple of key catches in that game, which I know very well. This is what happens when you have a quarterback. Adam Thielen has a quarterback. An old Aaron Rodgers, but an old Aaron Rodgers is much better than a 21-year-old or 22-year-old J.J. McCarthy. But that's a whole different thing, whole different situation, which I'll talk about at the end of the show when I get to my keys and notes for Week 16. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers did what he had to do. Jared Goff, I can't say, hey, he did what he could. 34 for 54. He threw the ball 54 times. 364 yards, 3 touchdowns. He could only do so much. Jameson Williams had 5 receptions, 70 yards. Amon St. Brown, 4 for 54. Khalif Raymond, 4 for 62, 1 touchdown. Gibbs ran for 1. No, he didn't run for 1. He only had 2 yards rushing. The defense had him start. Let me get to that. Gibbs was 10 receptions, 66 yards for 1 touchdown. The Pittsburgh defense made rushing a non-factor for Detroit. They had a combined in that game 15 yards. 15 yards rushing combined in that game. You heard me. With Detroit Sonic and Knuckles combination of Montgomery and Gibbs had a combined 16 yards rushing. Pittsburgh did not allow them. And let's put this into a fact. Excuse me, guys. I have a little bit of a cold. TJ Watt was not playing. He was out. He was not in the game. But still, Pittsburgh did what they had to do to win that game. And I don't want to hear about, the refs. Of course the refs did their controversial stuff. They're gamblers. The NFL is 3 things. First, business. Second, sports. And third, entertainment. So what do you think is going to happen? The referees made a business decision, not a sporting call. Remember I said that. They made a business decision at the end of the game. Detroit did not do enough to win that game. Never leave the game in the ref's hands or else. So at the end of the day, Detroit losing 29-24, playoffs? Nah, I don't think so.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
And next order of business, New England and Baltimore. And I'll tell you, that game was exciting. I just finished watching that game, and that game was ridiculous. Like, Lamar Jackson went out in the second quarter. I'm thinking, oh boy, here we go. But yet, at one point in time, Baltimore was up 24-13. Baltimore was up. And I'm like, oh, there's no way. Like, this is just not going to happen. But somehow, some way, Baltimore couldn't sustain the lead. Like, it was just one of those things. It's just like, okay, can they keep this going? New England put up 15 points in the fourth quarter. 15 points. They scored 2 touchdowns. They won 28-24. Drake May had that one pass to Williams, to Kyle Williams. Wow. What a throw, right on the dot. Like they say, there's no defense for a perfect pass. What a catch by Kyle Williams. And, Stephon Diggs, 9 receptions, 138 yards. He didn't want to come out of the game. Stephon Diggs has always been that guy. Everybody says what they want to say about him in Buffalo, but I think a part of Buffalo's issues is their coach. That's a whole different conversation, and I'll talk about that in keys and notes. But, Drake May, 31 for 44, 380, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He was on point. Touchdown pass to Henry, of course. Kyle Williams already mentioned. Stevenson got a rushing touchdown. Baltimore, it was all Derrick Henry, 18 rushes, 128, 2 touchdowns. Zay Flowers had that nice little run that he had there, 18 yards for a touchdown. Lamar Jackson, Baltimore now 7-8. I don't think they're getting in. I think they're going to be in the outside looking in, and I think Pittsburgh just walked themselves into winning that AFC East, AFC North. AFC North. I think that belongs to Pittsburgh. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Tomlin, 19 straight seasons. But I'm going to talk about that in keys and notes. So, this game finishes off 28-24 New England. New England still a game up on Buffalo with 2 games left, and it's going to go down to the wire. But, oh, man. At one point, I said, can the Ravens actually win without Lamar Jackson? It was close, but then New England just found a way to come back and get that win. So that is that. Last order of business. You're damn right I'm going to go to the Carolina Panthers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers because there's a particular player I want to talk about, a young man that I want to talk about because a lot of people had him out the door. I have been rooting for this kid, and I'm going to continue to root for him. Last year, he was benched. He comes out, wins a big game, 23-20, Carolina Panthers, 23-20, and takes sole possession of first place in the NFC South. And I'm telling you, man, watching Bryce Young is a pleasure. It really is, because to see where he has been in his development, 21 for 32, 191, 2 touchdowns. It wasn't even the stats. It was the key plays he made in that game. He just made some plays that mattered. He made plays that changed the game and put his team in the position to win. That's all he needs to do, and he did that. Baker Mayfield Classic. Baker, 18 for 26, 145. He really didn't do too much. Usually Baker does whatever. He had some moments, but it just didn't seem like it was their time. This seemed more like it belonged to Bryce. And the thing is about Bryce Young is I love to see where he has gone and where he's going. This kid's going to do so much things. But there's a particular bunch of numbers I want to mention. And this is the numbers I want to mention. Since the time he got benched, and now that he's back on the field on a regular basis as a starter, in 24 games, 5,208 yards passing, 42 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, a 91.3 passer rating, 10 game-winning drives. Sometimes you got to go down to get back up. And he has done it. And I'm so happy for this kid. So Bryce Young, back and rolling and doing what he needs to do. And he's going to continue to roll and he's going to continue to do great things. And he did it again today. 23-20, sole possession of the division lead. And the rest is history. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, I'm going to do something that I'm going to do every so often. Not every episode, not every show, but I am going to do for this particular episode here. Keys and notes. First key note that I want to mention for all you haters out there, especially some of the racist people out there that don't want this guy as a head coach. Let me give you guys a little reminder here and some facts and stats. For the 19th season, Mike Tomlin is not going to have a losing season. He's 9-6 right now. He's not going to have a losing season. I've heard some of the comments. I've read some of the comments that people have said about him. Since he left Minnesota to become the head coach in Pittsburgh, he's never had a losing season. I know what he could do in Pittsburgh as a defensive coordinator. He was fantastic when he was there. He's still the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why are we not talking about Mike McDaniel? Mike McDaniel got his butt whooped 45-21 to Cincinnati. And they're talking about getting rid of Tua. But why not him? If you're going to get rid of Tua, why don't you get rid of him too? I think it should be a package deal. I think both of them should be fired. If you want to get rid of one, get rid of all. Don't come and tell me that Tua is the problem. Tua is a problem, but the coach is too. So when everybody's talking about, or these reports that Mike McDaniel or whatever is still in good spirits with the coach, with with management, and Tua's on his way out, you need to package both of them. They've been riding this train together. Get rid of them. There's a lot of people like that. They just, as soon as things don't go well, they snitch on the person or they bail out on the person. Mike McDaniel should ride with Tua if he's going to get rid of him. Because, people want to shit on Tua as much as I've been hard on Tua. Not personally, professionally. Tua, the injuries, he could throw the ball. But there are certain things that just are not working in Miami. And I understand, maybe a first start is good for him. But his contract is going to be very difficult to get rid of. So this whole Mike McDaniel only, are you out of your mind? No. Kansas City Chiefs, another quarterback gets hurt. The season just gets even worse. Rumors about Andy Reid retiring. Then there's the bench situation. Listen, you got to finish the season strong, regroup, and get ready. That's all you could do. There's nothing else you could do. Dallas, I thought they were going to actually give the Chargers a run for their money, but they didn't. They just looked flat after the second quarter. Then Jerry Jones coming out and talking again, general manager, coach, president, owner, attention whore. This guy will not give it up. He's not Jimmy Johnson. I keep telling people, I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan. Jimmy Johnson knows talent. He was a great recruiter when he was at Miami. He knows college football. He knows where the guys are. And once he left and departed from the mess in Dallas, Jerry took whatever he had, got Barry Switzer, won the last championship with Jimmy's guys, and has never won since and never will win until he quits. He needs to get out of there. He's got two sons that know what they're doing. He's got a grandson that knows what he's doing, but yet he wants to hog the spotlight. Everybody wants to keep talking about Sean Combs trying to be in everybody's video in the spotlight. How come nobody talks about Jerry Jones? Like, seriously, I'm not defending either. I'm definitely never going to defend Jerry because I think Jerry is just a racist guy. I think he's a biased guy, and I think he's a crook in many ways. But we all know what Sean has done. But we all keep talking about Sean in videos. But why are we not talking about this guy? You get your butt whooped. Where is the coach and where are the players in the press conference? Why does the owner always have to talk? Like, I think it's preposterous. He needs to go. Dallas fans, you're never going to win anything until that guy leaves. I'm just saying, and I guarantee it. Another keynote, Buffalo again scrapping to win against a tough Cleveland team. Shador doing everything possible to win this game. I mean, he was 29 for 29, 157. He threw 2 picks. He had 1 touchdown. He was doing whatever he could, but the Buffalo defense was playing him pretty well. Josh Allen actually threw no touchdowns in this game. This was all James Cook. James Cook going all over the place, doing what he wanted to do. But the keynote for me in this game, Keon Coleman suspended for another game. They say he's been inactive. He's been suspended. Whatever's going on with him, fine. You're going to release him, but he's going to be better wherever he goes. Sean McDermott, this just reminds me of the Stephon Diggs situation. They are 2 totally different players because Diggs was very emotional, very passionate. But you do not have a number 1 receiver on your team. You have a bunch of mid-level 2s and 3rd strings on your team. You're about to enter another zone. You're about to enter another season. And that's the NFL playoffs. You have 1 game to lose and you're out. I know these guys are playing in spite of him, but they got to figure this out sooner or later. If you're going to keep the guy off the bench, keep the guy off the field, sit him for the rest of the year and stop playing around, because I think the players and everybody else wants to know, is he on or is he off? Is he on or is he off? Like, what's going on here? Like, what's the story? So, these guys keep jacking around with him and they think it's fun. It's not fun. I'm sure maybe he's done some things that are a little childish and pathetic, but at the same time, you have to, you picked up Gabe Davis and you haven't used him since. Sean McDermott, man, I'm telling you, you don't win the Super Bowl, there will be a show. You think Santa Claus is getting roasted. Santa Claus is good. He's going to win in the playoffs. Santa Claus is going to do what he can. Santa Claus can get to a Super Bowl, but we know he's going to. That's the only way Sean McDermott's going to win a Super Bowl. If he doesn't change his attitude before then, is if he plays Kyle Shanahan. Because Kyle Shanahan is Santa Claus. He's the gift that keeps on giving. But if San Francisco goes to the Super Bowl and plays Buffalo and Santa Claus wins against that guy, you expel him from football. Because there's no way you can lose to this guy. But then you look at the things that Sean McDermott has said and done, anything is possible. It's the NFL. And that's a closure here for Week 16, folks. Another week in the books. Have yourselves a good day, good evening, good night, wherever you are. I'm signing out. Peace.